In our class, we're going to assess upper body strength by performing the barbell bench press 5 repetition submaximal assessment. As I explained in the leg press video, we don't do 1 repetition maximums for safety reason and for risk reward, when we can simply plug in our 5 repetition submax weight and calculate our estimated 1 repetition maximum. So we want to work up to our 5 repetition submax weight in about 3 sets, starting at about what you think 50% of that weight would be for your first set, and then adding weight from there. And a lot of this you can figure out with your spotter. I also posted the video about spotting the barbell bench press, which we take very seriously. So talk with your spotter about what weight you think you should jump to next, and also how many reps you think you'll be able to achieve. Now the goal for these assessments is to achieve 5 reps, but let's say you're on your 3rd set and you're really pushing that 5th repetition. Let them know, hey, this is going to be really tough for me. It's possible on the 4th repetition that will be my last one. Be prepared to take the bar if I can't do that 5th repetition. So communication is really what I'm saying here. But overall, the goal is to achieve 5 repetitions with good form. So the first step to performing the barbell bench press is to line your eyes directly underneath the bar. If I am lined up behind the bar, like the bar is about over my chin right now, this is what will happen. I'll lift it off, I'll start my first rep. You see how I'm hitting the hooks here, I'm too far back. Rather, if you start with your eyes underneath the bar, lift off, do your first rep, I'm clearing the hooks. So that's why we do that first. We set up under the bar, our eyes underneath the barbell. The next thing is you want to look for the knurlings, or the area where the rough part of the barbell meets the smooth part. That's called a knurling. We want to set up our hands evenly, and we use the knurling as a reference point to ensure that the hands are evenly placed. I always suggest for individuals with arm length relative to mine, find the center knurling where the smooth starts to turn into rough, going sideways, and go about thumbs width wider than that. When I set up that way, it allowed me to keep about a 90-degree angle in my elbow without being too narrow or too wide. Now, everybody's arm length is different. That's why you need to mess around and find what width of your hand placement allows for a field goal position, all right, or somewhere in that ballpark. Another thing to mention with the barbell bench press is that some people, shoulders are different on everybody, right? So while some people might like to bench like directly out, elbows directly sideways, some people need to go a little bit narrower. It all depends on how your shoulders feel. So my general recommendation is find a width that you can achieve this 90-degree field goal position, and do about 45 degrees between tucked versus out, right there, okay? That is what I suggest. That tends to be the happiest position for the average shoulder. Try out different widths, different angles of the shoulder, elbow, and see what feels best on your wrists, your elbow, and your shoulders. So, I know my position, my eyes are under the bar, I know my hand position for what feels good for benching. Wrap your thumbs around the bar, right? So we do this, we do not do this, because the bar can slip out of your grip. Always wrap your thumb all the way around the bar. Now, me as the lifter, I'm going to tell my spotter when I'm ready to lift. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then up. And on up, I and the spotter will split the effort 50-50 of lifting that bar and bringing it over the chest. So pretending I have a spotter right now, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, up. The spotter and I have lifted that bar. The spotter is still holding the bar as we maneuver it over my chest, right? Because we bench press over the chest, not over the face. Now, when the spotter sees that I have control of this bar, they are going to let go of the bar, and I'm going to begin my first repetition. Down to about 90 degrees, right? So notice that that doesn't mean touching the chest. It means 90-degree elbow, okay? Now, for the purpose of this video, so you can see, there is no safety right here when normally there will be a safety here. You can see the other safety on this side of the power rack. I always set up my safeties at a height where it's just below the bar when I'm at the lowest point in my bench, so that if I fail at the bottom, I can just set the bar down directly on the safety. So I'll show you what that would look like on this side. Obviously, there's no safety on this side. But say I were to fail right here, you can see I would just set the bar down and awkwardly get out from underneath the bar. So that's why I set the safeties up where they are, not low. We want it to be somewhere where you can just set the bar down. Other cues for benching are to ensure your knuckles are as close to vertical as you can get them. So if I'm benching like this, I don't want my wrists cocked back because that's not a healthy position. It's putting a lot of strain on the tendons and ligaments. You want to strive for neutral wrist position, which means knuckles forward, so like you're punching the ceiling, right, directly in front of you. Or as close to that as you can get. Not everybody's wrists are able to achieve that position. Get as close to that as you can. Bench directly over the chest, not the chin, not the belly button. Have your spotter check out and make sure you're at the chest level. Find that 45 degrees and field goal position when you're benching. Okay. Keep the pace slow and controlled. We're not dive bombing here. So here is what a set would look like in real time. My spotter is checking all the checkpoints, making sure everything's safe. 3, 2, 1, up. They see I have control, they let go of the bar. I don't lock out my elbows at the top. I keep the tension in the chest and shoulder muscles without locking out the joint for safety reasons. My knuckles are pointed vertically. I'm benching over my chest. I'm keeping the pace slow and controlled. And my back is flat on the bench. I'm not arcing. I'm keeping everything down pat and breathing into my pelvic floor to brace, to stabilize. Last repetition. Here, spotter grabs the bar. We both bring it back into the hooks so we can hear it hit the hooks so we know it's actually in. It seems like a lot of cues because there are a lot of cues for the barbell bench press. Safety is a huge concern, but as long as you're going through that checklist and communicating, don't just assume the other individual knows what you're thinking. Communicate openly to avoid any risk of injury.